Yeah.
You might want to prop it up there
Yeah.
somehow
I've
on
still
your
got 0 people. I gotta get those 8 people.
Yeah, is there any way to let?
I'm never gonna organize this on my laptop again.
All right, so.
Oh, did you manage to put a thing on?
Yeah. Now it's 7 waiting.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We got 1 on there. That could be you.
No, I'm not on your stream.
Oh, great.
I'll go on your stream.
2. Okay, some people are coming over.
Yeah.
How's it going? 4. All right, they're coming back over. Hey, we had a little bit of an issue. I was trying to do this on my laptop, and it just wouldn't broadcast. So I switched over to the phone on a new channel. Thanks, guys, for coming back over. I'm here with Sashi Day, who's the producer of Road Less Traveled. We first met in 2011 at the
Jelly Belly Factory.
Bean Factory in California, and then a couple months later we were filming in India for like 3 months straight. We filmed the first season of Road Less Traveled, and you can see Sashi, I think, in a few moments in that season.
Here and there, maybe.
Here and there throughout the season.
You almost clocked me with a golf club or golf ball in Calcutta.
that's
the
right.
second oldest golf course
in the world,
outside of the British Isles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a season, that first season of Road Less Traveled, because we were like on a narrow budget, and it was my first full-on broadcast TV show, and Sashi floated the whole first season on his production budget, so it was like we gotta make this thing sell. So like
it was a do or die.
It was
as a young producer, fresh producer. So.
Yeah, so when it came to like anything, like can you jump over that in the motorcycle? Can we launch the paraglider from here? It was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Just took. Hey, how's it going, Mr. Zimmerman, Miss Zimmerman?
Donna.
not Donna. Donna. Sorry, my eyes are going. Thanks for tuning in.
So yeah, Donna. Let's for both our stream of subscribers, let's explain what's going down here. If you're watching from here, you're on Sashi Day Media, which is my YouTube channel. If you're watching there, you're on Jonathan Legg's YouTube channel.
Yep.
And we have been working together as hosts and producers of travel lifestyle content since 2011.
Since 2011, yeah. We're doing now, I think, our 53rd episode.
Yeah, 53rd episode of Road Less Travel, 5th season, and God knows how many countries.
We started the season in Vietnam. We did a road trip down the coast of Vietnam, looking on the subject of heroes. I was stopping and asking people who are the modern day heroes for you in your life. And then we went to Bali. We got a really great episode in Bali about a lot of the spiritualism. We did something with plastic waste. It looked sharp, and we were going to continue on from there, but boom, COVID hit. I mean, I'm sure all of you in your life had a sudden curveball hit you then, and your best laid plans, as John Steinbeck would say, went awry. But we're finally back on the road, getting this 5th season done, and we started in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We picked up on the theme of sugar and how Christopher Columbus brought sugar to the Caribbean. It's not native to here, and it changed the face of the place. And so we looked at those changes. We investigated who were the original islanders. I won't spoil a lot of it for you. And then, of course, a lot of the African slaves first came to the Caribbean before they came anywhere else in the Americas. So we looked at their experience and eventually how they gained their freedom in at least one of the islands. And now we're over in the Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic, yeah. It's day 3 for me. It's been a week and a half for you and change.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, how do you feel about the DR?
It's a really interesting place. It's a unique place to film right now because there's a curfew in place because of COVID. You can just come in without a test or anything, which I guess has its good and its bad sides. But there's at the moment, a 7 o'clock curfew on weekdays and a noon curfew on weekends. So we are essentially locked into our apartment at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I guess let's go back a bit and talk about travel during COVID because we had the
mm,
unique opportunity of being on the road in at the cusp of 2020, 2019, 2020. We were doing a motorcycle ride through Vietnam, and then New Year happened. We went to Bali from Vietnam, and we were like, yeah, the season's gonna be great. And then we heard about this novel coronavirus
yeah,
making its round in Asia, and we thought, oh, this could be bad.
yeah,
Little idea did we have that it would get so bad. I mean, come March, things just ramped up and countries started shuttering. And
yeah.
I got caught in the Philippines once, almost in their lockdown. So I just hightailed it back home to the US. And I just started feeling things out, see what happens. But it was very difficult because I'm a producer of travel content. That's my bread and butter. And
Hmm.
if the whole world is shuttered, not much you can do. So
Yeah, it was tough at first.
yeah, yeah,
Well, actually, it was at first it was just unique. It's like, holy shit, the world has changed.
yeah.
Uh, and to be honest, I kind of enjoyed that first month of lockdown because it was like you could drop everything and you didn't feel like the rest of the world was marching ahead of you as you were chilling and you were losing
Yeah,
ground.
yeah.
It's like everybody's dropped everything. So now you can
Everybody's on
really,
equal footing. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You can read a book, you can stretch in your living room, dance naked in your living room, whatever you want to do. New York City. Hey, what's up, Joseph? Thanks for tuning in, man. A buddy of mine that I met in China is on this.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Uh, yeah, so it was cool at first. It was like, wow, this is an interesting time to check in with yourself, some self care, slow down, and then it got kind of strange and then got some serious cabin fever. And I think Sasha and I both at different times decided to risk it and hit the road because that is our bread and butter, and
Yeah.
it's kind of what we're born to do, to be on the road telling stories. And so,
I'm just going to interrupt you. P Lick PS PLIC PS got your question. Like your series, but just got a brief intro to Jonathan's background. What did you guys do before 2011?
oh, that's a good
So
question.
we'll come back to the topic of COVID travel, but let's answer that question.
Kumiko is here. What's up, Kumiko? What did we do before 2011? Um, so, Sashi was the producer of a different travel show.
Yes, I was still producing travel shows. I got my start in 2005, unofficially 2006 full time, and yeah, so I've always been a travel show producer.
And there's actually a crazy story to that. When I first came to LA, my first week in Los Angeles, I had been acting and modeling in Japan. I made the leap to LA. I was crashing on a buddy's couch. He had a newspaper that had like actors classified ads in the back, and there was something for travel show host, and I was like, oh shit, I've done a lot of traveling, so I applied, and it was Sashi's company. Um, that he had some partners on that, and we had a dialogue, but ultimately they stopped talking to me, and another guy got the job. But years later, Sashi left that company, started his own
We're talking
production
like
company.
what, 3 years easily?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2000, October 2007 that I came to LA. So the first,
2010 is when we got back in touch.
yeah, yeah. So 3 years between, and my very first thing I applied to was basically with him, and which is an interesting lesson in life. It's like you never know. I'm sure you've got your own ambitions in life, and you're putting energy towards making those things come to reality, and it can get disheartening sometimes, right? Like you're plowing away, you're not seeing results, but you never know when one of those seeds might spring.
Right.
And out of the blue, Sashi called me. He's like, "Hey, you remember a long time ago you applied for this thing?" And on the phone call, I didn't even know who he was, but I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." And then eventually we figured it out, and boom, here we are. And then later, I was teaching. Going back to the question of what I did before the show, I was acting in Japan, modeling in Japan, and then I was doing acting jobs in LA, and I started a paragliding company. And I made a friend through the paragliding company who was in a soap opera with the dude who got the job I didn't get, who was the host for Sashi's first show. So it's a weird connection.
Yeah, I mean the entertainment industry in LA, which is where we were casting, it's the whole world goes there to make it big, but it is sort of a closed circle. Like almost everybody knows each other in their strata of I don't know, in their own level, I guess. Like if you're
Yeah,
an A-lister, you know other A-listers. If you're a B-lister, you know everybody in the circuit. If
that's a
you're
good
in the
point.
television circuit, you know the reality television circuit, you know everybody.
In
You
reality.
know, and if you're a new guy, you know everybody in the new guy circuit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's interesting as you move through those levels, you meet new people, you get into a new scene.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for the question. Glad you find it interesting.
good question. Yeah, but getting into this, I mean, getting into this profession, I don't know if you asked this because you have an interest in getting into what we're doing, but I think both Sashi and I had a little bit of resistance, as anybody would, getting into. Maybe things are changing now with the explosion of YouTube, but getting into media before was seen, or acting, hosting, producing. It's like, ooh, that's risky. Your family is worried that you're gonna fail, so why don't you be a doctor, or why don't you be a business person? Uh, so I think we both had our own versions of pressure not to do it.
Yeah.
But when it calls to you, it calls to you, and I think deep in your heart if that's what you want to do. And I do believe that if you plug away enough and you're willing to sacrifice enough to make it happen, which can mean living miserly, it will happen for you to some degree.
Yeah, you gotta put in the sweat equity.
The sweat equity,
For
exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
You got a comment. Greg is here with me from Kumiko Nagata.
Oh, what's up, Greg? Hey, a guy's tuned in who I was talking about acting in Japan. He was one of my good friends in Japan, and in fact, my plan to come to LA, which is how I met Sashi, would probably was cemented one day doing a drama with Greg. We were doing a reenactment, recreation drama.
Okay.
Where they talk about some real life situation, and then they cut to actors reenacting it. And Greg and I were two GIs, American GIs, but we'd slipped away. The AD put us kind of in a holding area and was like, "Stay here," and we slipped away and went to the top of this rock reservoir. And it was October, but it was a warm day. We had our shirts off. We were throwing rocks way down in the reservoir, trying to hit different things we saw. And we just really solidified the plan, like, we are gonna move to fucking LA and make it happen. And so yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Was he in the Japan episode?
That was Mark.
Okay,
Mark
okay.
Shinnery, yeah.
Okay.
Another Tokyo actor.
All right, so let's get back on track with our 2020/21 COVID travel experience. Where were we? So yeah, back in March, I was shut down because there was nowhere to go. I tried to go to the Philippines because the show that I'm hosting and producing, it's the biggest market for us. So I was trying like hell to go to the Philippines. Had a flight booked, it got canceled. I booked again, it got canceled. So I had a lot of flights that overall got canceled, and those refunds, they take forever. They're always in limbo.
Yeah.
But you do eventually get them back. So that was for sure. I had a lot of canceled flights, and then I just decided to streamline my efforts towards countries where Americans could travel to.
Mm-hmm.
So I narrowed down the list, which was actually a pretty short list. French Polynesia, I think Dubai was opening up, and where else? And the U.S. Virgin Islands, because it's U.S. territories. So I started my 2020 COVID travel with Virgin Islands, and that was like a nice, easy place to test the waters and see how it is, because you're still in the territorial U.S. So I did an episode of Maximum Foodie there, and it was nice because you didn't really see the full gauntlet of tourism in such a touristy area. USVI, you get that throng of cruise ships and all that.
Right.
None of that there, so you kind of got to experience like the local side.
Yeah. I've always
Um,
wanted to go to Polynesia. That must have been it's sort of like that quintessential tropical paradise.
It pretty much is, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was our next destination for Maximum Foodie, French Polynesia. And we started off with the island of Bora Bora, but everything was shuttered. Um, there was not much to see, to eat, to do because people just kept everything closed. So fortunately, I had a shoot planned with the Four Seasons Bora Bora, which was our saving grace. That was the highlight of the episode. But again, fortunately, we came across, just walking around the rim of Bora Bora, we came across this restaurant called St. James. And it was two French guys that moved to Polynesia. And because there's such a big French culture there, they decided to take over that restaurant and just breathe new life into it.
Mhm.
So literally the day I met them, the day after is when they launched their restaurant. So we covered it on Maximum Foodie, and that was something else.
Dope.
Yeah, it's like really like a resurgence kind of story in a almost like dead to the world island because tourism shut there.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
It's interesting to seeing what tourism was like to be out on the road during that time.
Yeah, yeah.
And people were happy to have, like, the places I went, people were like, oh wow, you're here? Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I wasn't sure if I'd be met. I went to the Balkans in this time, and you're not sure if people are going to be like, what are you doing here, American? Since we had such a terrible, and we still have such a terrible COVID rate. But thankfully, people were actually pretty welcoming and happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Happy that you made the effort to come and were
Tell their story.
and tell their story. Yeah. I think in general, people are always on a personable level, or when it comes to TV show, if you're really like, what is your story? I read once that like everybody you talk to is trying to tell you their story at every moment, because we so badly want to be understood and accepted. So if you want to be received in this world on an interpersonal level or internationally, become interested in people's stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's how you do it. I gotta show you this thing. Little interruption from the planning talk. We did something with the Taino, who were the natives of the Caribbean, and one Taino guy gifted us this thing, which kind of has like a dog. I'm not exactly sure.
Quadruped style body.
Yeah, we're not sure what this is for. If anybody knows exactly what this is, I'd love to hear from you. And it's got a Taino face, and then on top is where the ceremonial bowl would go, where they would put a crushed seed pod from a plant called jojoba, which apparently contained DMT, which, if you don't know, is a powerful hallucinogen. And the shamans of the tribe would go into these caves with a bunch of cave drawings. They would snort the DMT through both nostrils, and then they would consult with the ancestors on matters of the tribe. Maybe the tribe was under attack or somebody was sick, and so they'd look for advice from the ancestors.
So yeah, this is what we call RLT memorabilia. We always
Yeah.
get cool things from people that we film and work with. We've gotten a knife fashioned by a really old school tribe in Cambodia. Do you remember the name? I don't remember the name.
I don't remember that.
But they were masters of, they were metalsmiths basically.
That's right.
Master metalsmiths, and they fashioned a pretty cool looking knife with, was it sandalwood, right? Or rosewood.
Rosewood handle.
Rosewood handle.
Yeah.
Which was a pretty cool item to have as part of the shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get all
So
kinds
now
of-
we're trying to figure out how we would utilize this in a.
Yeah, that's a good question. What would if you had this thing? This is heavy, by the way. You've been carrying this around and have no exact idea what to do with it.
But we'll give a little demonstration because it's like the perfect height, like right here. So if you're chilling, smoking something like a cigar, you could put like an ashtray here. It's right at the right level for.
Or set your cocktail down on it.
Or set your cocktail down. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
That's about 8 pounds of weight that we got to lug around in our suitcase. All right, so I got some questions here. Jonathan, how is doing travel series with Sashi compared to acting in Japan?
Oh, wow. It's completely different. Acting in Japan was fun. I mean, the acting scene in Japan is like a small kind of group of guys who were really getting all the jobs. And it was kind of like a brat
So was it a small group of Japanese guys or Western?
Good question. Western guys. So I was just getting roles that just for Western guys, either commercials or these dramas, and it would always be a small pack of guys, and I knew everybody in the group. But you get into like these acting jobs, and if it was a movie, it was one thing, but the dramas, it was really shoot from the hip, as far as like you'd get called from the agency. They'd say you're gonna get on the location bus on this street corner in the morning at 6 a.m. You get on the bus. Sometimes on the bus they would tell you what your role was, and Albania.
Somebody said hello from Albania.
Albania, what's up? You get on the location bus, you'd go to the location. Sometimes on the bus, they tell you, okay, it's about this crime drama, and you're a lawyer, and Greg, you're a cop, and Jonathan, you're going to be the criminal. Sometimes you wouldn't know. You'd get to the location, you'd be put in a holding room. We'd start guessing from the location what the story might be about. It was either look like a jail or look like a hospital. But I had moments where I'd get called by a PA, by a production assistant, all hurried and busy, like, oh, Jonathan, come. And they'd lead me onto the set, and there's the camera, and everybody's blocked. And then they'd direct me to my mark, and then the director would be like, okay, you ready? Let's go. And I'd be like, whoa. Who am I? And then they'd be like, oh, get the translator. And the translator would come shuffling out. They'd be like, oh, you're the cop, and that guy's the criminal, and if you'd done enough of these, you'd be like, okay, I think I got it. And then you just wing it, and then and then see if the director stops you, and so it was really at that kind of level. Doing the travel show, it's a whole different thing, because this is like,
It's totally unscripted, first of all.
yeah,
Nothing is staged.
yeah,
Some things are pre-produced in advance. Like if we're gonna go on a cargo ship, we obviously have to let them know. We have to get security clearance, health clearance.
yeah.
That kind of stuff has to be done beforehand. Other than that, we just let the chips fall
Right.
where they may.
Yeah, and we want to do. I mean, I didn't really care that much about these productions in Japan. Obviously, I wanted to get hired again. I wanted to have a good time, but it's not like I was telling some profound story, and that wasn't my responsibility to tell a story. That was the director, the producer. Whereas this, it's like here right now, it's up to Sashi and I to tell a story, and depending on how dedicated we are to it, it could just be entertainment and have no substance, or we could go for substance and it can't be entertaining. And really, we want to deliver something that obviously people want to watch, but it says something about the world, about humanity, about the experience of life, about the Dominican Republic. It's not just like eating cotton candy, but it's like eating a good, healthy meal. If that makes
that's a good
sense.
way to put it. Yeah, television, especially the genre that we're in, it's very easy to sensationalize topics.
Yeah.
Which something I'm totally against. You know,
Yeah.
we wanna tell the natural story in a very natural demeanor.
Yeah.
You know, and do justice to the story as well. So you can't sensationalize. You have to tell it as it is, but you also have to give it the television spice without going over the top.
Totally.
So
Yeah, I remember really early in the first season, we were in was it Kerala with the snake boat?
Yes, yeah.
And I made on camera with this big whoop-de-doo about how I was going to get on this snake boat, this really long rowboat. And then, we get a boat. We finally, we take it's a whole bit to find these guys. We finally find them. I'm on our boat. They're over there on the snake boat. And no matter what I say to them, they will not let me get on their boat.
Right.
And so it's super anticlimactic after all this thing. And I remember Sasha and I looked at each other, and I'm like, what do we do? And he just pulls out his camera. He's like, well, just call it like it is. Just say, look, hey, we got here. We can't get on. And that happens sometimes in travel. Sometimes you have anticlimactic moments. You were all excited about getting to the museum or getting to the castle, and you traveled to this town, and you climbed up the steps, and the gates closed, and it won't be open for another month for renovation. Well, that's real. That's real. And even though we sacrifice entertainment by telling it as it is, we hope that we're we're letting you know that we're being honest with
Yeah,
you.
genuine.
Yeah, and that you can trust us to tell it like it is, right? And
Absolutely.
especially in this era now of Instagram and social media where everything's glitzy and glossy, and it's cool, it's easy to consume, but also you feel like, God, my life's shitty because all these other people have these perfect life, everything works out for them.
That's a
The
good
movie
point.
star on the camera, he never stutters, he never does anything goofy, he never embarrasses himself. But I sure do. I stutter, I embarrass myself. I don't get into things I say I'm going to get into. But I try. I
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try, and that's the key. We're really going after it, and yeah, we hope that it's it's working. That
Yeah,
you
she
dig it.
says in China they hire Westerners for commercials to give trustworthy impressions.
Yeah, yeah. I did some stuff in China as well, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, traveling, she says, or he, I'm not sure if it's, can't tell from your name, sorry. Travel requires pulling a lot of stuff out of a hat.
Totally.
Absolutely. I mean, whether you're doing travel for leisure or as a producer of content, you always, you never know what's coming up. So
Yeah.
amplify that for production where shit always hits the fan, stuff always goes wrong, and yeah. Not only do you have to pull stuff out of a hat, you have to wear multiple hats too.
It's true. And we've
Yeah.
had some episodes where the whole carpet got pulled out from underneath us. We had this episode planned in the Philippines. We were going to see some underwater caves and
Mm.
some other things. We arrived and we met the guy who was our fixer, the dude who's going to help get us to these places that we wanted to see. And one by one, he's like, "Nope, can't do that. Nope, that's
Yeah.
closed. Nope, but." And we're just like, "Shit, what are we gonna do?" We like had nothing all of a sudden. But you can't be there forever, you know.
Mm.
We had about 10 days to get something, and quite we've had those moments quite often where it's like, "Oh boy, what are we gonna do? We get nothing."
Yeah, but we just put our head down, break out the old Google and just make calls. And also the way we chance upon locals, we always get somebody that recommends us to talk to this guy or some idea, and we follow through with that idea,
Yeah,
and we just eventually get the ball rolling again. Somehow it works out.
it's always worked out. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've gotten some remarkable stuff. Just boom. I mean, that particular time in the Philippines, I went to a church just to see this Jesus statue, and I was gonna get. And as an afterthought, I told our cameraman Dante to come with me. I was like, let's just get a B-roll shot of the statue, which is just a shot you'll just throw in
Was it the Black Nazarene?
the Black Nazarene.
In
Yeah.
Quiapo.
Yeah, an interesting statue. It survived like an earthquake and a World War II bombing and a fire on the
And
Spanish ship.
it came from Mexico or Central America, I believe.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you're
somewhere
right.
from the Americas.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
And we're in there shooting it, and then I thought, you know what? I'll say something. And I turned to the camera and started talking, and then the church officials saw me, and they busted us, and they took us to the office to get permission. And I almost walked out of that office like, to hell with this. I don't need to be standing here in line. It wasn't that important. But luckily I stayed, and as I'm waiting in line, I see on the wall all these plaques: Department of Prayer, Room 201, Department of Worship, da da ba ba ba. And then when I get up to the front, I asked the guy, "Do you have a Department of Exorcism?" And he's like, "Yes, we do." And then boom, this led us on this trail to meeting an actual exorcist, to going to a place where there was a mass demon possession. When we were there, we heard stories of a Filipino vampire
Oh yeah.
on the other side of the island that was plaguing villagers.
It sounds so crazy when people just listen to you.
Yeah.
You got to watch the episode.
Yeah, I love that episode. It's
Yeah.
great. And as we're zigging and zagging doing these stories, we keep passing signs for beauty pageants.
Pageants, yeah.
But we missed every date. But finally, we end up in a town where the organizer is still there, and we talked to him. We talked to the mayor, and with these two contacts and $500, we hosted our own beauty pageant.
There's a clip on my YouTube channel, Sashi Day Media, where if you type in we host a beauty pageant in Philippines, you'll see the
Yeah.
whole segment that Johnny's talking about. Yeah, that was crazy.
All of that came out of the vapor.
Spontaneous, yeah,
Nothing was
spontaneous.
planned. It was just like real, genuine travel moments.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's get back to traveling in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
I think after where did you end up going? You were in Serbia, yeah?
Yeah, I was in the whole Balkans region, Serbia,
And that
Albania.
was totally open, and
It's
it
totally
still
open.
is to this day open to
I believe it's
Americans.
still open, yeah.
Right.
Open and welcoming.
Nice. Yeah. I think after French Polynesia, I did Dubai because Dubai is also open to the entire world. And usually for these countries that are open, you need a negative PCR test done within 72 hours of transit. And then you're in, pretty much free to go about. And so, yeah, I had a great shoot in Dubai, did a luxury safari in the Arabian desert for my show Maximum Foodie. And that the premise for that was like I have 24 hours layover in Dubai. What do you do? What's the best thing to do in Dubai? So it's like head into the desert.
That's a great premise.
Yeah,
Like 24 hours, what can you get into?
24 hours. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to prop
So
this shit
Dubai
up.
was open. It still is open. I actually recommend checking out Dubai. And if you do go to Dubai, take an Emirates Airlines flight because they got you covered on all the COVID stuff in case you don't have it done on your end. If you land in Dubai with an expired test or you haven't done the test, which would be a little difficult because airlines won't let you get on the plane without a test. But mine actually was expired by the time I arrived in Dubai. But Emirates takes care of passengers with that test.
How do you feel traveling now? Like, are you nervous about the virus?
I am totally not nervous about the virus because I know there's a lot of people suffering and a lot of people that have lost others, close ones, loved ones. But for me personally, it's not something that's out to get you. It's just, you just have to be cautious about not touching your nasal cavity, your eyes, and things like that. And just take basic precautions. Don't be in a public area that's not well ventilated. And because we spend so much of our time in airplanes, that doesn't worry me at all because everybody on the airplane is usually on international flights. They have a PCR test that was done within 72 hours. Airplanes have amazing HEPA medical grade filtration systems that's recirculating through amazing filters
You
every
just
2
kinda
minutes.
turn that thing on.
Yeah, you
blast
turn it on, you got a mask on, everybody's got a mask on.
Yeah.
Having said that, you could contract COVID, but you know what? I've been traveling all of 2020 and I've been fine. I've had neighbors sitting home catching COVID, not going anywhere back in California, and here I am traveling
Yeah.
63,000 miles in 2020. That's what Google told me, and knock on wood, I'm still all right.
Yeah.
So take precautions, and live your life. That's worked for me, so that's what I'd recommend.
I think it's a good motto. I mean, we almost got smashed today. We were in a taxi moving locations, and our guy came to an intersection. It was kind of unclear who should stop. He kept going. A van kept going, and wow, it was close. It was close. And those of you who've traveled and backpacked, you know that this transportation that you take quite often, driver hasn't slept, he's driving through the night, tires are bald, axles overweighted, that's probably the most dangerous thing you can do. Yet we still do it. You go down the highway in LA, if you look on the center divider, you see little pieces of glass and metal the whole way. But rarely do we think about that reality that an accident could happen at any time.
Right.
So you wear your seatbelt, you take precautions, and then, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, one might argue that I could be an asymptomatic spreader, which I actually don't have a case against that. But it's a way of living for me to be able to travel. It's my work. It's how I make a living. So you take measured approaches.
You wear a
cautious
mask
approach.
all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, obviously, we're gonna get it. Like, if I have it, he's gonna get it. He's got. I'm not. So we take a gamble on each other. But when we're out in public, we wear masks.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, after Dubai, where did I go? Oh shit, now I'm like drawing a blank. Oh, Maldives. So that's a really good point. Maldives is also open to the entire world, and I feel like Maldives serves as a paragon for COVID travel because, and I guess the destination itself is kind of conducive to being isolated. That's what they promote. So for everybody that really don't know much about Maldives, it's an island-strewn nation, atolls, islands everywhere.
close
And
to India, right?
close to India on the southwestern side. And what they do there is each luxury brand sets up their home in a given piece of island. So they own the island,
Wow.
and it's maybe 2 square miles. Sometimes it's much smaller than that, but usually an island per resort or a resort per island. And you have to have a PCR test to get to Maldives. Once you arrive, the resort might actually enact another COVID test while you're there. And you're already isolated. The staff, if they move around, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So they keep their guests very, very safe. One of the resorts I was at, what was it, Hurawalhi, I believe. They actually even had like a computerized camera system where you just go up to it every day. It's got a FLIR thing, it checks your temperature and it takes a picture and it tells you you're good, and it logged on the system that this guest is good for today.
Wow.
So it's all automated. It's right by the restaurant. As you're walking to grab lunch, you can do that once a day. So they're really taking COVID testing seriously. And guess what? Their numbers, they spiked a little bit, but we're talking a handful of numbers, you know?
Yeah.
And the whole world is coming there for tourism. So I feel like the Maldives is really setting an example for how to deal with COVID travel
Yeah.
with international guests.
Yeah. You know, and some of these things will transcend COVID, and in the future, it's like anybody who has the flu or whatever.
Or a temperature, yeah. If you're running a temperature,
will
just
get
stop.
screened out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Because before, it seemed like some people would still show up. They had the flu, they had a cold.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, nowadays you don't hear anybody coughing on a flight at all.
Yeah.
Very rarely. And because I travel, I spent so many days of my life in an airplane. Before COVID, coughing was a constant thing on airplanes. Like
True.
every minute you would hear like at least 5 people coughing and
Yeah.
sniffling and this and that. Now it's like zero. So to me, it is the safest time for air travel.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like once I got on a plane, I was like, oh, this is not that dangerous.
Yeah.
Getting around some of these places, like getting around the Balkans, and I've gone around the Dominican Republic a little bit in buses, and unfortunately, they don't take it as serious.
Yeah.
Quite often they seal the whole thing up. Some people
I
have their
wasn't
masks.
part of that journey. I wouldn't have done that journey.
That's probably the riskiest thing that I've done. It's funny out in public now. Maybe you guys do the same thing. Like if I hear somebody cough or sneeze, immediately I determine the wind direction and my relation to that person, where the wind's coming from.
Right.
Hold my breath.
All right, Sashi, why are not all travel series available in full on YouTube? Bosnia is also open.
That's true, Bosnia.
So we're not. This is a very interesting story. I'll give you a little bit more backdrop. Before YouTube travel content and all that became popular, we've been producing. I've been producing content since 2006, well before
When the
YouTube.
cameras were like that.
Yeah, yay big. And we just never thought of making our content available on YouTube. I know it's hindsight 2020.
Yeah.
And hey, 2020 is actually hindsight now if you think about it.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
So yeah, because we've been working with network television channels around the world, we've never really thought of YouTube as a platform because we give the rights to the networks. So if our content is also on YouTube, then we can't sell it to the channels, which pay us to do what we do. So
Yeah.
there's always been a rights issue. But having said that, we should have probably been popping all our clips on YouTube from day one, like little snippets, which we haven't done.
Right.
But hey, now that we have such a big archive of programs, so that's why you see so many clips now on our channel. And eventually, if we get enough subscribers and we're able to monetize on YouTube, then well, I'd love to do a YouTube only series, you know?
Yeah, that'd be
For
great.
sure. That would be amazing. But we definitely need the numbers to back that up.
Right. Currently, you can see season 1 and 2 on Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, if you have
But
that.
it's specific to the US and
Oh, is
UK, I believe.
US,
Yeah,
UK.
it's not a
Maybe if you have a VPN.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Amazon's actually pretty good at detecting VPNs.
But yeah, to answer your question, eventually there will be a lot of content on YouTube for sure. So, Road Less Traveled airs on Discovery Channel in Pan Asia, all of Asia, in the US,
Finland.
Finland, yes. Shout out to Finnish viewers.
Yeah, YLE.
That's right. And Maximum Foodie, which is my food and travel show, we air all over Asia, and yeah, that's our main market. So, yeah.
So what does the rest of the year look like?
For me,
Yeah.
well, we're gonna wrap up this trip here in the Caribbean. Wrap up this episode. I've got something in the pipeline for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka shut down all tourism in the last month and a half, but they're now testing pilot models for reopening. So we should hopefully be some of the first people as part of that restarted tourism effort come March. We're trying to do both a Road Less Traveled and a Maximum Foodie shoot in Sri Lanka in March. So yeah, that's what I have in the immediate picture for the moment. I can't really plan anything ahead because everything's shut, you know.
Yeah.
Our main priority is filming in Asia because both our shows air in Asia, so they want content from Asia, but Asia is totally locked down.
It's just really sealed up now.
Yeah. I would love to go to the Philippines, and we have the biggest market for AFN in the Philippines with 17 million viewers, which is massive.
Wow.
So I wanted to do a whole half season in the Philippines, nonstop, and it's also a great location for us to shoot Road Less Traveled, tag team both shows.
Totally.
One trip, 2 shows, amazing. You know.
Yeah.
Very cost effective, and it's fun to be in the Philippines. So much diversity, friendly people, and yeah. So Sri Lanka, and then if rest of Asia starts opening up in different stages, then we'll snake our way through all these places. Philippines being number 1 on my list.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably your list too.
Yeah, I love the Philippines. We always get good content there. It's such a great place, such nice people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it'd be great to get there.
You should do some nice YouTube exclusives and maybe some live streams on some occasions. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. We just decided to do this live stream. Hope you guys like it. Next time we'll try to promote it a little more in advance. So if you have any questions.
Now that we have a little bit more experience under our belt with
Yeah,
this live streaming
feel
thing.
free to ask us anything you want, anything personal, open book.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about an hour. I think we've
Yeah.
tapped out on.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll try to do this more often. We got a real exciting thing coming up here in the Dominican Republic. Real good story. We're going to look at cigars tomorrow because the Dominican Republic's almost in the same latitude as Cuba, but you never really hear about the cigars here. So
And it's a primo cigar producing region.
yeah. So what about that? We're gonna look. at
I
that.
guess really quickly before we wrap up, let's talk about what's in the cards for our trip, the rest of our trip.
Yeah, so cigars, and then we're headed to the north to hunt lionfish. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but lionfish are an invasive species in this part of the world. They produce tons of babies. They eat like everything. They have no predators in these waters. So governments of the Caribbean and Central America are actively encouraging people to hunt them. And we're gonna go with the dive school and try to spear one and cook it up local style.
It's supposedly really tasty. It looks menacing and it is super aggressive and toxic.
Yeah, I think.
But once you cook them up, it's really good eating. So
yeah, that'll be fun. And then we just made contact with this really unique, I guess it's like a,
It's
like,
the ocean cleanup project.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but their main project is trying to capture the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
Oh, wow.
That's their main, that floating structure. I forget what it's called, but it's like trying to canvas and cordon off that area with little units that are, I believe, solar powered, and yeah, they're trying
Cool.
to siphon off that plastic from the Great Pacific Patch, and I think these are their side offshoot projects
Awesome.
because they learn a lot through hydrodynamics and different circumstances, different bodies of water.
Amazing.
So yeah, would be interesting to see because it's such a cool pilot project for trapping plastic.
It's basically the same river where Christopher Columbus entered the New World, the Rio Ozama. Now, at the time when Christopher Columbus came in, it was this one-of-a-kind foreign vessel, this ship that came in from Spain. Now it's another one-of-a-kind vessel that's in there, which is almost like this, it's like an automated garbage-eating, plastic-eating vessel, like a drone of sorts that we're going to look at. Glad you
Glad you both love my country, the Philippines. Yay!
Did you preserve Yellow House as a monument?
Albania. Did you preserve your life?
I don't understand that one. Sorry. Right on. Well, yeah, that's what we got planned right now. We'll see what other content comes up. It's pretty cool here. If you guys have any if you know anything about the Dominican Republic, or you have any themes, sometimes we do these general themes, like in Vietnam, we looked into the theme of heroism. And in Montenegro, we looked into the theme of love, since there's a story about Cervantes being there. If there are just general life themes that you'd like to see us pursue, in a country as we make our way through, I'm totally game. Well, let me know. We're going to continue sipping on some great Caribbean rum and prepare for our tomorrow's shoot. We'll be back for
another live stream.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate it. Hope to get to know you all personally sometime, if I don't know you personally already.
Yeah, cheers. Feel free to leave comments if you're watching this not live.
Yeah, we'll get to them.
We'll get to them eventually. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. See you in the next one.